So, the translations are out for My Hero Academia Manga chapter 375, and let's just say that in this chapter, we get to finally cut back over to a fight that we haven't seen in a while, get the results of that fight, as well as get a massive shift in putting a certain character in the forefront to play an important role in the story later on, and we'll see who that character is, but first, right after this. Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, Manga Man Drew, and I'm here to do my manga review for My Hero Academia Manga chapter 375, titled A Total Mess. And from what we get with this chapter, it is a total mess for the heroes, because the villains are literally dominating them in this moment. And we'll get into why that is the case, but there's a lot that we need to talk about, because this chapter involves a lot of characters that are not named Deku and Shigaraki, and this is great. What we're getting in this chapter is something that I've been really expecting, and it's really pushing to the forefront a few characters that have not gotten the best light in the My Hero Academia community, and what Horikoshi is probably going to be doing for this is giving these characters a big moment and potentially begin to resolve their arcs. So, let's dive into the chapter and see what I mean by those statements and see what's going on. And for the most part, what I'm bringing up is that we are going to be focusing on three main characters in this chapter: Toga, Froppy, and Uraraka. And of those characters, the main focus is really on Toga and Uraraka, which makes sense because these are the characters that have had the most interactions in the series between the characters that we see in this chapter, as well as they have probably the biggest connections to one another when it comes to their connection and love over Deku. And we see that in this moment, we are flashing back to the moment where Uraraka and Froppy are going up against Toga, and Toga is pretty much on the back foot. It is confirmed that most of the villains were taken out and that Toga is one of the last ones besides the near high-end Nomu. It is confirmed that what Uraraka has been doing this entire time is pretty much putting the pressure on Toga with a 4-man or 4-person battle force that prevents Toga from actually using her biggest skill, which is using distractions and causing people to hesitate, which allows her to either strike or get away. And we also get a reveal for what's going on with the Nomu and something that is happening with Toga and how she's able to get out of this situation unharmed for the most part. And going into that last part, we pretty much have just Toga having an inner monologue, just coming to a realization and beginning to think about her actions a lot more. Because prior to this moment, Toga really didn't think or plan anything ahead of time. She just went with what felt right. She was more of a go with the flow type of person. But now she's becoming more methodical. She's beginning to think a little bit more ahead. She's considering that she can only use twice his blood for 30 to 40 minutes to transform into him, and that she's unable to use her best hiding and sneak and run and hitting techniques because of the fact that she's being bombarded by the heroes. And how it's emphasized by the narrator about how her actions were not really heavy in using strategy and that was not her type of person, but it's alluded to the fact that she has become this by the actions that have occurred, and how these actions, when it comes to Uraraka, to Deku, and what happened with Hawks, and when it came to Jin Bubagawara, that all of these things have merged together to form the current Toga, a Toga who is actually and truly a villain. And we see that she's thinking to herself about how, if I use the blood now, I may or may not be taken out by the heroes, but even if I win, there's no way that Gigantomachia can come after me. So I really don't know how to get out of this situation, but heck, I'm gonna try and rely on Spinner to do his thing. And we see that Toga does have a strategy, because we see that she pulls out a vial that appears to be blood, and she knows for a fact that Froppy would attack and destroy it, but she planned for that to happen, where we're introduced to something that All For One gave her, which is able to attract one of the Nomu to Froppy, who has the drug on her tongue because she broke it with her tongue, and that Toga knew that she would do this, which leads to Froppy being attacked by the Nomu that Gang Orca is fighting against. And unrelated to that, it is revealed that this specific Nomu does not have regeneration, so it means that he can most likely be taken out with ease by Gang Orca himself, but he was unable to defeat it before it landed an attack on Froppy, or should I say Toga, the moment that she needed to consume Jin Bubagawara's blood, which allowed for Toga to transform into Twice and unleash her Sad Man's Parade. And at that moment, it possibly couldn't have gotten any worse, except we do, because last chapter, we saw that Twice reappeared, and it's confirmed that that Twice, or those Twices, for more or less, are just versions of Toga using Twice's quirk, which means that the moment that she used it, that's when Kurogiri appeared right in front of her, and now she's able to go into the portal and really unleash her Sad Man's Parade. And what is interesting about this is that as Kurogiri is here and is asking and telling Toga that, hey, I've come to help you and rescue you. Where do you want to go? Toga's like, yo, I want to kill all of the heroes, but first I want to go after Hawks, so send my clones around. And that one line of dialogue is very important to really keep our heads around, because this could imply that Twice is not just going to appear at Gunga Mountain where All For One and Dabi and Hawks and Endeavor are, but may appear in the other areas, maybe at Central Hospital, maybe in the area of the UA Flying Fortress, maybe where the other UA students are. And if that happens, oh boy, the heroes are in trouble. And as we see that Toga, dressed up as Twice, is going through the portal, we see that Uraraka tries her hardest to try and intercept her, but she fails in that moment, and the portal begins to close. But Uraraka has a very important line about how she hasn't been able to talk to Toga about love, and that causes her to hesitate. But in that hesitation, you just have Toga dressed up as Twice saying that if only she would be able to, or if only they would be able, if we could actually talk about it, as she goes through the portal as we arrive at Gunga Mountain Villa. So that's something that we have to tackle when it comes to Uraraka, because when it comes to Uraraka, it's all about her having her emotions, having her feelings repressed, and how she's been trying her hardest to be a hero, and by doing so, repressing her feelings and emotions. But now that she's fighting against Toga, the character who always wears her emotions on her sleeves, very similar to Deku, now Uraraka is really preparing to let her emotions be set free, which ties most likely into her character and where her final character growth is going to go, and potentially her doing this may be able to save Toga in the end, especially for what we see at the end of the chapter. Because as Twice, or should I say Toga, begins to allow for all of these Twice clones to pretty much take over the battlefield, as we have infinite double Sad Man's Parade in process, Hawks comes to a realization that, oh, it was Dabi that allowed this to happen. Like, I made sure that Jin Bubagara's body was gone and that there was no way that this could happen, but dang it, Dabi did it. And as you have She-Mage saying how things could possibly get worse, it is revealed that both Uraraka as well as Froppy were able to get through the portal in the nick of time by Froppy literally tossing Uraraka through the portal, and most likely either Uraraka pulling her into the portal alongside her, or, you know, Froppy with her powerful legs jumping through the portal at the last minute as well, as she begins to think that the feelings that you've once shut away, Ochako-chan, I'm sure you will, as the chapter ends with the entire panel of the main focuses of this battle in place. So yeah, this is pretty much the end of this chapter, and this was really a fantastic chapter to return back to after our break, because we're setting up that this is going to be a fight looking forward to, with characters like Hawks versus All For One, Endeavor versus Dabi, and the fact that most likely than not, Uraraka and Froppy are going to be going up against Toga and the Twice clones, and how most likely what's going to happen is that Uraraka is finally going to reveal her emotions about how she feels for Deku, and how this is possibly going to be a really jumping off point for her to be able to save Toga in this moment. And now there are many ways that this could happen, and I probably will do a discussion on it on its own, but this was a very wonderful chapter, because not only is it setting up stuff that we've seen in the past arcs, the past war, even in this war itself, but it's connecting the things that we've been having throughout the entire story, as well as, you know, bringing Uraraka and potentially Froppy into the fray and showing and giving these female characters a more major role in the story. A criticism of My Hero Academia is that the women fall on the wayside, but we're seeing in this final arc they are coming to the forefront, and that Uraraka may be the deciding factor that could shift the change in this war away from the villains towards the sides of the hero, or at the very least, she may be the first character to save a villain in this war proper. But yeah, I really did enjoy the chapter. I enjoyed how Toga is becoming more and more like a villain. She's not fully just relying on her emotions and just doing everything on a whim. She's being more strategic. And this is something that we kind of saw a little bit of it during the first war, where she breaks the glass container where Kirishima was throwing at it. And we've seen how she was able to trick Uraraka into following her, as well as what she was able to do in this chapter, showing that she has changed and that she's not going to be an ordinary character that can be defeated easily, and that potentially Uraraka and Froppy may not be able to defeat her, but they may be able to sway her with their emotions and their connections. And also, just setting up that these female characters are going to be playing massive roles in this war by bringing them to the second most dangerous battlefield in the entire war. So yeah, I can't wait to get more of these characters and see where their story is going within the next few chapters, which will be amazing, hopefully. But yeah, this is all I really have to say about the chapter. Hopefully you enjoyed the chapter. Hopefully you enjoyed the review. And if you did, leave your thoughts down below. What did you think of the chapter? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? And what do you think of Uraraka getting the determination to finally confront Toga with her feelings? Leave your thoughts down in the comments down below. Leave a like on the video if you liked it. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content like this. Do all that cool jazz. And hopefully I'll be able to catch you in my next video. Goodbye.